Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Easy Chat English podcast. I'm Amelia, and as always, I'm joined by my wonderful co-host, Ethan. How are you today?
Hi, everyone. I'm doing great, thank you. I'm really excited about today's topic. It's all about traveling. Who doesn't love traveling, right?
Absolutely. Traveling is one of those things that really broadens your horizons and gives you a chance to see the world in a different way. We're going to talk about our own travel experiences, share some funny stories, and give you some useful travel-related English vocabulary to help you on your next trip.
Exactly. Whether you're traveling for adventure, to relax, or just to get out of your comfort zone, this episode is for you. And don't worry, we'll explain any new words along the way.
Let's start by talking about why we love traveling so much. For me, I think it's the feeling of discovering something new. One of my favorite trips was to Thailand. The culture there is just so rich and colorful, and the breathtaking views are something you just can't forget. I remember standing on a beach in Phuket watching the sunset. It was truly a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
Oh, wow, that sounds amazing. For me, I love the excitement of arriving in a new place and trying to figure everything out, like how to navigate the streets, where to eat, and all the little things that make a city feel unique. I went to Japan a few years ago, and I'll never forget how everything was so well organized. But at the same time, it felt like a different world. It was such an eye-opening experience.
It's true. You learn so much when you travel, about other cultures and about yourself. And I think that's what makes it so special. Whether you're visiting a new country or just going somewhere off the beaten path, there's always something new to discover.
Right. And even if it's not always easy, like when you experience culture shock, it's all part of the adventure.
Let's talk a bit about our different travel styles. I have to admit, I'm the kind of traveler who loves to plan. I always create a detailed itinerary before I go anywhere. I like to know where I'm staying, what I'll be doing, and what places I want to visit.
Oh no, that's the opposite of me. I'm more of a spontaneous traveler. I love to just arrive in a city and see where the day takes me. Of course, I make sure I know where I'm staying, but I don't plan everything out. Sometimes the best moments happen when you're not planning for them.
That's a great point. I remember one trip to Italy where I had everything planned perfectly, but then I got lost in Venice, and that's when I found the most amazing little cafe. It wasn't in any of the guidebooks, but it became the highlight of my trip.
Exactly. I had a similar experience in Spain. I was wandering around Barcelona and ended up finding this hidden park that wasn't crowded with tourists. It's moments like those that make traveling so special.
So, whether you're a planner or you like to be more spontaneous, there's no right or wrong way to travel. It's all about what makes you happy.
That's true. And sometimes the best trips are when you're open to new experiences, whether it's backpacking through the mountains or enjoying an all-inclusive beach resort.
Now it's time to share some of our favorite and maybe not so favorite travel moments. I'll start with a story from my trip to Mexico. I was on a bus traveling between cities, and I didn't realize I had booked a ticket for the wrong destination. I didn't speak much Spanish at the time, so when I asked the driver where we were going, I only understood half of what he said. Luckily, I was able to use a map and some basic Spanish phrases to figure out where I was supposed to be.
That sounds stressful, but I bet you learned a lot from that experience. I had something similar happen in Paris. I was at a restaurant and I wanted to try something new, so I ordered in French. But when the food arrived, it wasn't what I expected at all. I ended up with a dish that had snails in it. I tried it, but I think that was one adventure I wasn't ready for.
Oh no. Well, that's the thing about traveling. Sometimes things go wrong, or you get surprised by something, but it all becomes part of the adventure. Even when you're dealing with things like missed flights or language barriers, you can always look back and laugh later.
Exactly. And those are often the stories that stick with you the most, like the time I got lost in Tokyo. I didn't have any data on my phone, so I had to rely on asking people for directions. I kept saying, "Where is the nearest subway station?" and trying to show the map on my phone. It took a while, but I eventually found it, and the people were so helpful.
Let's talk about some of the places we still want to visit. For me, the top of my list is New Zealand. I've always wanted to see the beautiful landscapes there, and I love the idea of going on some of the famous hikes. It's a place that's both relaxing and full of adventure.
That sounds incredible. For me, I'd love to visit South Africa, the wildlife, the culture. It just seems like such a unique experience. And I've heard the safaris are unforgettable.
Yes, there are so many places in the world to explore, and each one has something special to offer. Whether it's the awe-inspiring scenery, the local culture, or the chance to meet new people.
Exactly. My bucket list is getting longer every year.
Now let's talk about some of the challenges that come with traveling. One thing I think a lot of people struggle with is jet lag. When I flew to Australia, the time difference was so big that I was tired for the first 2 days. It's definitely something to be prepared for when you're flying long distances.
Oh, I've been there. And then there's the issue of delayed flights or even missed connections. I remember one time I had a long layover in London, and my flight to New York was delayed for hours. It was frustrating, but I just tried to make the best of it by exploring the airport.
That's a good attitude to have. Traveling isn't always easy, but the key is to stay calm and go with the flow. Whether you're dealing with language barriers, getting lost, or having your luggage delayed, it's all part of the experience.
That's right. And even though these things can be frustrating in the moment, they often turn into great stories later.
You know, after talking about all those travel challenges, I think it's important to mention how travel actually changes you. I mean, even when things go wrong, you come back with a new perspective, right?
Absolutely. I feel like every trip leaves me with a lesson learned. And sometimes it's the smallest things that make the biggest difference. I remember traveling with my dog Buddy on a road trip. At first, I was worried about how he would handle being in new places, but he adapted so quickly. Watching him get comfortable in unfamiliar surroundings made me realize that I needed to be more flexible too.
That's such a great example. Traveling with my dog Max has definitely made me more patient, especially when trying to find dog-friendly hotels or parks. I've had to learn to go with the flow and accept that not everything will go according to plan.
Exactly. I feel like travel teaches you how to be more resilient. I mean, Buddy is usually really calm, but on that trip he got a little anxious when we stayed in a new place for the first time. It reminded me that it's okay to feel nervous when you're out of your comfort zone. It's all part of the experience.
That's so true. Travel isn't just about seeing new places, it's also about personal growth. Whether you're adapting to a new environment or learning how to stay calm under pressure, you always come back with something that changes you for the better.
Absolutely. And if our dogs can handle new experiences so well, we definitely can too.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. We hope you enjoyed hearing about our travel stories and picked up some useful English expressions for your own adventures.
Yes, remember, traveling is not just about seeing new places, it's about learning, growing, and making connections with people from around the world. And speaking English can really help you along the way.
Absolutely. Whether you're planning your next big trip or just dreaming about it, we hope you feel more prepared and excited to explore the world.
And don't forget, we'd love to hear about your travel stories. You can share them with us on social media, and we might even feature them in a future episode.
Thanks for listening, and bon voyage to all our listeners out there. Until next time.
Take care and happy travels.
Don't forget to follow the podcast, leave a review, and share it with your friends. We'll see you next time.